For my senior elective in high school, I chose to take digital media, which was all film, and with the best teacher at my school, Mr. Rutabaga. Now, Mr. Rutabaga was a great teacher, super nice dude, but that allowed everyone to walk over him the entire school year, sadly. Projects would go late for weeks because people would be too busy talking or fooling around during class time, rather than actually filming and editing. My group was always done early because I did all the work and edited in DaVinci at home and on my laptop rather than in Premiere on the Macs in the classroom. But the due dates were always extended. Even when they were extended though, several groups still didn't finish in time and we had to take extra days just for them. It was honestly horrible. And there were also chronic absences that people somehow got away with, but that was outside Mr. Rutabaga's grasp. It's not like he can go to their house and bring them to school, or, just know that they're in the school somewhere and hunt them down, because if they're skipping class, he can't do anything about that. If he's not the one who sent them out of the room, then he can't do anything. But for our final Zoom meeting, when our final project was supposed to be done, only 3 people showed up out of 20, or around 20. And everyone, it was really sad to see how much people abused his kindness and just took advantage of him. But anyway, I think this is a good platform to talk about my experiences starting out with digital media in the class for entertainment and educational purposes. So let's go. My group mainly consisted of 4 people. There were myself, Frosty, Alex, and Nick. We also sometimes had Tristan, Dante, and Isabel. For a majority of the class, it was only ever really Frosty and I caring and putting any effort in. Alex and Tristan put in effort when able, but Dante almost never showed up. Isabel was horrible to work with, and Nick, I'm surprised, was able to graduate. This is mostly why I took charge of all filming and editing, because besides me being the one who knew what I was doing the most, and I think for the first project on the Macs, we split up editing because I didn't have a laptop yet, and we needed to do stuff in class, but that went horrible, and we never did it again. Everyone was always on their phones, not paying attention, getting in the shots, not putting in any effort though, and I tried really hard to be patient because I was in charge, but they really pushed my limits. As director all the time, which willingly because I was the only one who knew what I was doing with Frosty's help, but it wasn't that hard to just do your part and then chill out. It was literally the chillest time, and it was made so much harder and longer than it needed to be all the time. The first project we did was creating a video that showed characters through their settings. There was to be no dialogue, only the video itself and music. The first idea we had was to make it like flipping through channels since we would have 4 different characters. Myself, Frosty, Alex, and Tristan. Nick hadn't joined the class yet. I think he joined after this project because he switched in somehow. Don't ask me. Anyway, first up was Frosty, and we decided to have him sitting in the hallway crying that we lost the second best teacher, the Big Mooch. Because at the end of the previous school year, he left to go teach the dreaded middle schoolers. And to show this, we filmed him sitting looking sad, staring at a picture of the Big Mooch, put a blue tint to it, and added sad Attack on Titan music. Next up was Tristan, whom we wanted to show as a loner gamer. This was easy enough. We recorded him playing Minecraft alone with the lights off in the language lab and put Gorillas All Alone over it. It speaks for itself. Next was me, halfway cosplaying Jotaro, sitting with my legs up and crossed on the table trying to be a cool guy, not caring and scrolling Instagram. Really cringy. That was kind of a theme with digital media for me, was throwing in Jotaro, in part because that was when I was watching JoJo for the first time, and because it was part of the unspoken bond, well, directly spoken bond between me and the person who would eventually become my first girlfriend. Not even in my school or my state, but still, yeah, that's part of why she has credits and the stuff. Besides, go look for yourself, I guess. The last part was Alex, who we wanted to show as a musclehead, so we recorded him lifting some weights with Rocky music in the background. Everyone's things were their own ideas that they came up with, and we equally scrambled to figure it out, but in the end, it didn't turn out half bad. I can say that at least. It could have been a lot worse. So this one is the first one with Nick in it, and he really helped by leading. What was originally supposed to be a scary Goosebumps-like video eventually turned into a horror comedy, and then more so just into a comedy. Our idea was basically to take our teachers and put them into a wacky scenario after we were told that we couldn't just use the Seinfeld characters and make Seinfeld. So that's why the characters sometimes sound like the Seinfeld gang, and the title is Gargfeld. This one probably had the most issues with recording because we had so many people and several did not work well together. Cough, cough, Isabel and Nick, and really Isabel with any one cough. We made it work. You could see in the bloopers how bad it was though. And in editing, I decided to turn the ending into a cliffhanger in case I ever wanted to go back to it and to keep the mystery factor, This was also the very first video that really wowed the class and Mr. Rutabaga, but they hadn't seen anything yet. Our third project was to make a commercial. Simple enough, I hear you saying, and you would be right. Except you're not me. My group took it personally upon ourselves to see how many comedic effects we could fit into a commercial and how crazy we could get with one as well. Our inspiration was that one commercial from SpongeBob with the guy going, "It's radical! It's radical! Radical! Drink it!" It evolved from Brewskis with the Bros, and so we came up with the Broski. That's when the saying was getting popular in high schools at the time, so don't crucify me for that. And what was essentially a piece of paper taped to a Monster can was now the best product ever. We all really came together to write this one, and that's what makes it so wacky, especially with all the explosions and special effects. This is a drink that makes you muscle-bound, angry, able to come back to life, and super fast. Where has it been all my life? I also got waterboarded being the test dummy for the scene where it's poured into Frosty's mouth, so that was fun. And I definitely did not get angry after that. And I definitely did not message the person who would become my girlfriend at the time. I'm like, no context, I just got waterboarded. And left it at that. But yeah, so the SpongeBob Industrial Park music goes hard as well with that video. And the icing on the cake that really was the final logo, which made it a quote ammunition drink with the American flag to show our true patriotism, and another student recording the tagline, "Saturdays are for the broskies," which I wasn't a fan of, but I threw it in because our group, it could have been better. We could have had something better recorded, but it's still honestly one of my favorite videos on this channel due to how fun it was to make and how fun it came out being. It's just a good video, and you should never be afraid to go wild with your videos, and that's been my standpoint ever since, which is why this channel is really weird. The biggest project we did by far was a mock debate about President Trump's impeachment. This was back in 2020 by the way, so yeah. So we had to make a propagandic news report afterwards. For this, the class was split into 3 groups: liberals, conservatives, and press. Nick and I were the press, and the rest of the class was split randomly to encourage research and looking outside one's own views. This would turn out to be a bad idea. Frosty was put in charge of the liberal side and could not get anyone to do any work. He got literally every person who couldn't do work on his team, and only he and Alex actually did anything. And Dante was on their team as well for about 10 minutes until likely being completely baked. He ended up having to go to the conservative side because he couldn't help saying his own views. And I show it in the video a bit, but the liberal side got demolished because it was just horrible. It was 10-1 with only Frosty fighting for his life with a little help from Alex here and there, but it really was a bloodbath. Once the debate was done though, we split into our normal groups to edit the propaganda. During the whole thing, Nick and I were just watching the cameras that were set up on tripods. We had these little camcorders we were recording it on. It was so bad. That was how most of the class was filmed actually, but we used our phones, so it looked a little better because those cameras were kind of cool. But yeah, of course, we had the liberal side because our teacher said, "You guys can do it. I know you guys can, meet the challenge," which we did. Ours was the best in the class because we basically had to go sicko mode and change everything. like starting off with a bit about Jeffrey Epstein because it was funny and relevant at the time. We re-recorded lines from Frosty and Alex to make their stuff sound more calm and professional, as well as praising them at the beginning and end with a fake news reporter. And we also added a bit about the conservatives adding a spy/mole and making them into unruly apes, which also made them look worse, which was really good and smart on probably my part. The goal wasn't so much to make the liberal side look like debate winners, but more like victims with good points of the unruly and unfair conservative side. They were winners of conduct, not skill. And when we showed the video to the class, everyone was so mad because it wasn't what actually happened and just portrayed things wrong. And one girl was especially vocal, and it was hilarious because Mr. Rutabaga was like, "It's propaganda. It's supposed to be biased and change things. That's the point of the project." Classic Mr. Rutabaga digital media moment right there. The next smaller project was to make a story about an inanimate object. For this, we came up with a bag of Doritos wanting to be like Cool Ranch, but eventually coming into itself and being okay with its own skin, essentially the bag. This then took a nosedive into a JoJo's reference by my hand, where the Cool Ranch comes in to beat up the Nacho Doritos, and it's like, "Ho, mukate karo." And like, it seemed like a really good idea on paper, but was horrible in execution, and it had like the worst reactions from the entire class, and probably was our worst grade. We never got lower than an A. I think I had 100 in the class, so yeah. I had a full 100, so, you know, which is why I have an excellence in digital media certificate, which I'll put up somewhere in this video. I'll put it up right here. Me, future, do that. Only maybe one other person besides myself understood the JoJo references, because like I had the menacing kanji on screen for the onomatopoeia of like rumbling, and you know, the whole "mukate karo and nigazu ni karo dio ni chikazuite karo," and you know, it's a blemish on this channel, and I'd rather not keep talking about it, especially with the name I gave it of Dory's Toes. Our final in-class project, since it was the year of the worldwide cataclysm, was to create a longer narrative project. Since we already did that for the Gargfeld video, we figured we would just make a sequel since we left the first open-ended specifically for that. Well, I left it that way, but still. Anyway, that's how our cat project, Rabbit, was born. And for this, we decided that rather than having the teachers as the main characters again, we would use a time skip to use their aged up or down or even non-existent children. It was also filled with way more JoJo references, which drag it down in my opinion. But it was supposed to actually have the big mooch, like the character through setting video had him in a picture, but he was supposed to do a voiceover for it, and it was going to be as himself, like the ghost of him. But his cameo, which he did agree to, he never ended up getting back to me, so we didn't get to put it in, and I basically had to record it myself and just down pitch it. But anyway, we did get Mr. Rutabaga in on it as himself as well, which honestly is the best part of that video. His acting really put ours to shame, which makes sense after seeing his band and how he is as a frontman. Anyway, it was a good close to digital media and our projects with everyone liking it and us being really relatively proud of how it turned out. But alas, there was one more hurdle. Usually, without a worldwide pandemic, the digital media groups were supposed to each make a music video about social topics like suicide or abuse, drugs, etc., and they would be screened to the entire senior and junior classes and given awards. We were robbed of that. Because of the pandemic, I had to do a solo music video and got robbed of my inevitable trophy. Like I said, I did get the Excellence in Digital Media Award, but you know, it doesn't beat having the trophy, and I'm still upset. I'm still upset I did not get the trophy flat, because I should have a trophy right now. Anyway, it was interesting to see how Mr. Rutabaga was able to pick out all these thematic and artistic things that I accidentally did in my video. I never planned for any of it to be all the stuff he picked out, and I kind of just went along with it in all honesty, which, I mean, it's pretty cool that I accidentally did that stuff and he was able to pick it out. I never uploaded it though, since it was kind of personal at the time and probably would not have been good for me to in hindsight with how my channel is going now, I mean, it could have been, it's not that bad, but fear not, because here it is, the failed experiments lost episode. Please God, don't let me get a copyright strike for this.
To let you know what you mean to me. If I cried, I'd only make you believe I was happy. I've got to let you go, and my heart, it aches, but it's worth it, 'cause I swear to God, you're a mistake. No, there could be a day when the pain will fade, but a part of me is looking for you back on yesterday. I've got to get away, 'cause my heart, it burns, and I know if I keep sticking around, I won't ever learn. Don't wanna cry, 'cause baby, I can feel freedom when they play. I'm not insane, 'cause when I'm close to you, I swear I could die. Need to live my life, yeah, live like I'm alive. And it's a lonely road. Good luck and goodbye.
In conclusion, that's the end of my experiences with high school digital media / film class. It had its ups and it had its downs, but by far it was one of, if not the best class I had in high school. And I did get to sit in on one of the classes 2 years later for one of my teaching courses. It was only for a single class, but I did get to go in and talk a little bit about my experiences with the class, which was cool. And that's mostly what inspired this video. I mean, a couple of years later, but still. But, you know, and all in the end, you know, thanks to Mr. Rutabaga for making that senior year probably the best year out of high school for me, which is nice. And really getting me to hone my skills for why I'm here right now. So yeah, thanks. Also, if you live in Rhode Island or Massachusetts, Connecticut area, and you hear about the Rumble playing anywhere, go see the Rumble. Trust me, you want to go see the Rumble.